Is it live? I'm trying to figure out if I'm live or not. Come on. It's the only thing about this is that I can't always tell. It's not showing it. I probably am live. I just want to make sure that I am. So I might want to follow it on my phone as well so I can see any comments that are coming through and stuff. So, okay, yeah. Yeah, I figured it's just not coming through on my phone. So, but I appreciate your burpees. So, unless I could just keep track of it, I guess, on the actual on my actual computer too, right? So, in any event, all right, let's actually hop into it. So, yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and welcome to this week's installment of Cosmic Convergence. It's the weekly show where I talk about the current transits, draw some cards, maybe talk a little bit of the current news and stuff that's happening. And just kind of chop it up with you guys, see how things are going, and just bring to you guys the astrology for the week. Of course, we're going to be looking from this Tuesday, pretty much to next Tuesday. So, we have a lot of stuff going on this week. As I grab my cards and put them out to the side here. But we have a lot of stuff that's going on this week. Of course, we have Venus that moved into Taurus here recently. We have Mars that just ingressed into Aries. And we do have Neptune that's going to hit that last degree. Now, of course, if you take a look at the thumbnail that I did for this particular video, you can see I got Neptune here just hovering over this lighthouse on this tiny little island in the middle of the ocean, and I called it entering the final degree. Last week was the week of surrender. This is entering the final degree. And what's interesting about this is that this kind of has a bit of a dual meaning, hence why you can see Neptune here, that on one side it's stormy, it's cloudy, and on the other, there's a raging tempest on one side, and on the other side, the sun is bright, and it's golden, it's shining, and this is kind of where the world is right now. We have these polar opposites that are coming to a clash here, and this is going to be the week where we really start to see this come forth. Now, this has a lot to do with the outer planets. It's interesting. This has a lot to do with Neptune and Pluto. But there's also going to be this interesting pull with Venus and Mars now in their home sign, where it's going to feel like we're wanting to move forward, but we can't quite move forward as much as we like to think that we can. We have a very small window here with all the planets direct. After Mercury, of course, coming direct here in Aries on top of the North Node. We had a very, very small window. But with Venus coming back into her home sign of Taurus and with Mars coming back to Aries, Mars, of course, last time was in Aries was back in 2022. These are the personal planets, so these are the ones that we're probably going to feel the most, the ones that are going to be the most obvious to us, and it is going to give us this sort of false sense of security, and I don't know if it's necessarily a false sense of security, but it's definitely going to give us this sort of feeling that things can move forward and that we can have some semblance of normal. But when you have a Neptune that's entering the final degree of the Zodiac, and you have Pluto, which is going to retrograde this week, and which means that this is going to be the last time that we're going to have all planets direct for the rest of the year. So at Pluto, remember, it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn to 29 degrees. So we kind of get this double whammy of this edgy energy. And that's why I call this entering the final degree, because this is definitely going to be, you're going to see over the next, definitely a lot of opportunity for positive growth and expansion, especially with Jupiter here, still in Taurus, coming off that Uranus conjunction. But it is going to come into Gemini, and that's its detriment. And there's going to be opportunities, of course, for truths to come out, but there's also going to be quite a bit of division. There's going to be people that are going to be stuck in the dark, stuck in the tempest of life, and some people are going to be really in the bright light, shining, every day is beautiful, gorgeous, and then you got everyone else that's kind of in between. There's going to be this insane, radical oscillation between the tempest of this world and the bright future of this world. And it's going to be all about how you are perceiving these energies and how you take some level of personal accountability on that which you manifest in your life, that which you respond to, that which you react to, that which you invest your energy into. That's really what it's going to come down to as far as how these next several months are going to go. I feel like the summer is going to be an interesting summer. I feel like this summer is probably going to feel overall more like summer compared to last summer, but then entering into the fall as we go right back into eclipse season, when the sun comes into Libra, that's when things get really spicy and really dicey. So, you know, just keep that in mind as far as what's going forward. But yes, this is the main subject with this particular cosmic convergence, is that we're talking about Neptune entering that 29th degree. And of course, we could talk about Pluto retrograde because it's going to go back to a 29th degree as well. So not only is this the final degrees of Capricorn and Pisces, but this is, like I said, the final degree of the entire zodiac. And anytime that you have a planet on the final degree of the entire zodiac, it makes things very intense, very powerful, quite auspicious, and it can definitely feel like we are about to just jump into a wormhole. And who knows where it's going to spit us out at, right? So let's go ahead and hop into the actual transits. So I have this set, of course, here for this current moment, 7:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can see that we do have the sun here in Taurus, as well as the moon in Aquarius. So we are actually heading to that third quarter square leading up to this new moon. Now, of course, the next time that we come together, next Tuesday, we will be talking more about that new moon in Taurus, because that's actually the day that's going to be occurring on. So I'll preview it. I will preview it on this particular video, but you know, we'll probably talk about it more on that one. But we are coming into this third quarter square. This moon, of course, having just conjuncted Pluto, and it's going to continue its way throughout Aquarius. Now we can see that Venus is here in Taurus, happy. And Mars has entered into Aries. It's happy as well. If we go to the actual sheets themselves, if I show you guys this, we will see that pretty much immediately, and I can just, let's see if I can, if I do properties, and if I go to application capture, it'll just do this real fast for you guys. And I'll just switch it to this, and hopefully you guys will be able to see. Let's see. Boom. So there, you can see here, Venus is at +10, Mars is at +6, Mercury is at +2, +1, +1, -5, -5. So the personal planets are going to be happy. Even Mercury at +2 is better than where it had been, right? Mercury is finally moving forward. Mercury is going to hopefully start to pick up some speed here. You know, how fast is he moving? You know, Mercury is still slow. It's not even moving a half a degree a day yet. So Mercury still's got to pick up speed. Remember, Mercury feels the best when he's moving fast. Mercury is one of those weird planets where it's probably the one planet that I can say is probably like non-binary and genderless, because that's kind of how Mercury is, right? So we do have, of course, like I said, Venus and Taurus. Now we're going to be focused on Venusian, Taurus-like things, possessions, money, beauty. And with Mars in Aries, that's going to be more focused on aggression, action, impulsive behavior, moving things forward, sparking things off, new starts, So, and the last time Mars was here was, of course, in 2022, when the world was slowing down to a crawl with the whole COVID thing, right? So it's interesting when you have these planets back in their home sign, and now Mars is it's interesting because Mars now is kind of lusting after this Venus. You remember last summer, of course, I talked about this, how essentially, hold on, there you go. I was talking about essentially how Mars was ahead of Venus, and Venus was like lusting after Mars. They play this dance. They play this dance where one of them is kind of lusting after the other, and then it'll pass, and then one of them is retrograding, and then eventually they'll speed up, and then it's just like this interesting dance. Right now, we're going to be in the dance where Venus is the one that's being moving forward, and this is the position that Venus likes to be in. This whole dichotomy with Venus being in Taurus, where she can feel beautiful and feel like and adorn herself with like the different possessions and jewelry and all that sort of stuff, and Mars being in Aries, which is definitely giving off this warrior-like quality and willing to pursue Venus. This is where she wants to be, right? That she is in her element with this. So now the thing that we have to remind ourselves is that Mars is going to retrograde this year. So Mars is not going to catch up to Venus, right? You gotta remember too, Venus moves around the Zodiac faster than Mars anyways. So the only time that they really catch up to each other is when Venus pretty much chases down Mars. It always comes back full circle. It's very interesting. And I'll even show you guys that too here in a second. So, but just know, like I said, with them being at +10 and +6, they are going to be happy. Now, of course, this is going to give us a bit of a boost. And it's also interesting to note that now, here, let me close that window. And let me go back to, let's see, properties. And I'm going to go back to just window capture. Boom. We have to take into consideration here. I lost my train of thought. I'm not gonna lie. I totally lost my train of thought as far as where I was going with that. Because I was talking about the whole dance with Venus and Mars, and how Mars is going to retrograde, and it's not going to catch up to Venus. Venus is going to come back around, and will end up tagging behind Mars. It's also going to be a year where we don't see Venus retrograde, because remember, Venus retrogrades happen once every 18 months. So we're not going to see Venus retrograde this year. So that's going to be kind of nice. Now, just to give you guys just a bit of like an insight into this whole dance that they're doing, right? We'll see, just pay attention to Mars and pay attention to Venus, right? So Mars is going to be going into Cancer. Venus is going to be all the way there in Sag. Mars will go into Leo and retrograde. So they actually will oppose each other. So you see that? How Venus is catching up. Oh yeah, I was saying how Venus's cycle around the Zodiac is, shorter than Mars. So Venus is going to, of course, it's going to retrograde next year. So it's going to be a bit before she catches back up to him, right? In fact, we're not going to really see them catch back up until late next year, when Venus, of course, catches back up to Mars and crosses going into 2026. So that's sort of the interesting thing, is that for most of the rest of this year, pretty much, if we just go back to now, and if we just go forward, you see that Venus is moving forward. She's in the position where she wants to be adored by Mars. She wants to be, kind of wanted by Mars, and Mars wants to, of course, catch up to Venus, right? That's the dance that they play, right? But it's not going to happen. She's going to get further and further away, to the point where by the time that Mars comes into Leo and then make their opposition, he's going to be retrograding. so far away that she's essentially gone out of view from Mars. So this is usually the time where Mars starts to focus on his damn self, right? So for the rest of the year, I would say that how this will play out in your life is like, if there's something that you want from a physical standpoint, and something that you want, I guess, to manifest from like a more Taurus like space, you really have to ask yourself what's worth pursuing, because the Martian energy, the go get 'em energy, our action oriented energy, may at some point lose sight of Venus. Well, it will lose sight of Venus, right? And Venus will come up behind Mars. So that it's going to be about, taking some purposeful action here. And also, we have to ask ourselves, are we lusting after fool's gold? Is it something that's actually worth it? Is it actually something that's valuable? So for the first little bit of this little dance of this year here, it does feel like a bit of a chase. The chase is not going to last forever. The chase will probably last throughout the rest of the year, but as soon as they oppose each other, right? As soon as they oppose each other, the chase is going to be done. They're going to oppose each other at what? I know that this is like talking about the final degree and stuff like that. I just want to like kind of just bring this information to you guys anyways and prepare you guys for the rest of the year and stuff. But they're going to oppose each other at what here? 5-6 degrees or so. That's the interesting thing about this. Pluto will be back in Capricorn by this point too, so it's going to be towards the end of the year when this is happening, and of course the moon's going to be on Uranus when this happens. Of course that would happen. But once this date comes, Mars is not really going to be concerned about trying to catch up to Venus, right? Mars is going to be focused on his damn self. They're going to square each other here too. That's the other thing we have to consider, that they're going to square each other. Actually, Venus is going to retrograde in Aries, in the house that Mars rules. So there's definitely going to be this weird element here where it's like the things that we're chasing in our life, it will culminate to a point where we do have to ask ourselves, do I really put value in this, or am I really putting value in who I am as a person, what I bring to the table? That's really what's going to ultimately culminate in. Right now, it's like we have our eye on the prize. Especially with Mars coming at home. We have our eye on the prize. It's this spark, new, fresh energy with Mars here. But you got to remember, Mars is not necessarily coming into the greatest thing right here with Aries, right? Yeah, Mars is home, but just think about what has happened in Aries. We have the North Node here, of course. We had a Mercury retrograde. We had a new moon solar eclipse conjunct Chiron. And we have Eris here too, all conjunct with each other. Mars is like coming home and everything's on fire. And this is Mars, who just got done conjuncting Neptune. Mars is not necessarily going to be in the best place to know exactly how to put out this fire. If anything, Mars is going to want to contribute to the fire. That's the interesting thing about this, right? So it's very interesting. This can definitely, with Mars coming home here with the North Node, Mercury, Chiron, Eris, and yeah, Venus is in Taurus. There's definitely going to be this more focus on what people want, what they desire. Even though the desire is Scorpio, it's going to be about these more worldly possessions or land or places that people fight over. All right. These are going to be the things that people are kind of looking at more. But the question is, are we really going to invest our energy and time into these things? Are they actually going to take us somewhere? Are they going to manifest something? Or are we just playing out the old same stories? Because that's the other thing that we have to consider here, right? Now, this is Tuesday night, right? Now, if I go forward just a day, right? We're going to see, of course, this moon here. Like I said, we do get the third quarter square, which third quarter square It's going to happen around what time? It's going to happen pretty much in the early morning here on the East Coast. So the day starts off with that. So we start off with a third quarter square. The moon at 11 degrees squaring the sun here at 11 degrees of Taurus, right? And this moon in Aquarius, it's interesting because it wants to attach itself, especially with the square too. It's like it wants to attach itself to some sort of value or ideal, if you will, in groups of people. But there's a discord here with the square that provides a bit of a challenge here that you know it's going to be about, can you emotionally connect with people that may have different values than you, or is there going to be this propensity to want to escape? You got to remember, Uranus is dispositing this moon, and by that I mean Uranus rules the house, rules the sign that the moon is in, and Uranus does not like to be in Taurus. In fact, it does give us a bit of mutual reception here. Why? Because Uranus rules Aquarius and the moon is exalted in Taurus. So it's like we have to remind ourselves with this third quarter square that while you may not necessarily, have all of the same values as another person or another group of people, does that mean that you need to completely distance yourself from them? Does that mean that you have to ostracize yourself? Does that mean that you have to other them? That moon in Aquarius squaring especially Venus, the sun, and Uranus in Taurus is the whole aspect of othering somebody, purposely putting them into a box away from you and feeling like there's no commonality between you guys. That's what this transit will do, and that's what Wednesday is going to be. It's going to be a weird hump day. It's going to be a weird hump day. And you throw Mars on top of this, which is just excited to be back home. Even though it's on fire, Mars is going to be like, oh yeah, let's keep this party going. Let's keep the rager going, right? You also have to consider that Jupiter is now leading the pack. Jupiter leading the pack. Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting third quarter square. Let's just read real fast the degree of this third quarter square. People on a vast staircase graduated upwards. This shows being able to interact with others and integrate various levels of experience, life, or people and not feel compromised by what rung or level you're at in your own life. The vast staircase shows the ladder that one must climb socially, spiritually, emotionally, even physically. Going up that staircase, one begins to feel more empowered, more accomplished, more there. So this is not necessarily about, distancing ourselves and ostracizing ourselves and disconnecting. However, being on a lower rung may cause a feeling of compromise. Don't concern yourself with who's in front or behind. It is of little true consequence. Accept your position, but strive ever upwards. Trust that you and yours are heading in the right direction. Observing life from different views, social gradations, orders from above, in a sense, waiting for one's turn at the top, multi-level marketing, corporate ladders, promotion. Nervous worry about social position, snobbery because of monetary, intellectual, or social status, class, greed, racial prejudice, rarefied atmospheres. Would not be surprised, honestly, if we're already starting to see it too, especially the fact that the moon in Aquarius is going to square Jupiter in Taurus. And Mars is now at home in Aries. We've seen some violence on these college campuses and stuff, but with the moon in Aquarius, that's going to square Jupiter, and Jupiter does rule universities, it does rule college, and with this square that's going to be happening after the third quarter square to the sun, I wouldn't be surprised if we just continue to see this uptick and get worse. I hate to see it, but I don't even want to say that, but the violence can get bad. Like, it can get bad. We think that the violence is bad, but it can actually get worse. Because you can see here at least with this Sabian symbol, it speaks to how we are all can be at different levels in life, and how we should not be overly concerned about our position, if you will, on the staircase, because that's the thing. You may be more advanced in some areas of your life than others, and they may be more advanced in certain areas in life than you are. And it's about, embracing where we are right now, but of course to strive for more. But there's a thing. There's that weird balance of like, if we continue to strive for more, you know, will we ever be enough for ourselves? That's the other part about this. Will we ever be enough for ourselves? Will we ever be enough for people? This moon in Aquarius, this third quarter square that's happening, this is going to cause some people to feel like they're not enough for people. And with Mars in Aries, it's going to light a fucking fire. And this is also going to bring up, like I said, potential snobbery. People feeling like there is class, creed, and racial prejudice. Like race stuff is probably going to come back up again with this third quarter square, as if it's not already here. But I'm saying these are the things that could potentially happen. But this is about, like I said, being able to see people at the various levels of their life and learning how to commingle with them. It's like we have to learn how to share again. You remember back in like pre-K? And then you had to learn how to share? Or shoot, if you're an older sibling and then suddenly you had a younger sibling and then you had to learn how to share like your toys and stuff. It's like we have to do that. But no, people just want to take, mine. And then somewhere down the road, that violence and taking what you think is yours or entitled to you, you might have hurt someone along the way, and then that person grows up and then they commit acts of violence and try to take, and then it just creates this perpetual cycle. And I'm just being honest, it creates a fucking perpetual cycle. But that's where the energy is right now. The energy is in a place where some people feel like they don't have enough, won't have enough, and they feel like the world is unfair. I think this is about kind of just observing our life and observing those around us and not overly comparing ourselves, but also appreciate that they may have tools and skills that you don't have. And what tools and skills do you have that you can also bring to the table so y'all can work together? This is basic shit, right? This is Aries and Taurus. This is basic shit. But it's like we're having such an issue with it right now. And it doesn't help that we have this energy in Aquarius and Pisces as well, complicating things. We have all this energy between Aquarius and Taurus. That's just 1/3 of the zodiac. So there's a lot of pressure right here, right now. There's a lot of pressure right here, right now. So we're going to see that third quarter square. So it's going to be a bit of a doozy. Not going to lie. Especially being at 11 degrees, 11. Yeah, so look out for that, of course. Wednesday's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting hump day. Probably an interesting news day, especially with the moon in Aquarius and people wanting to emotionally connect or disconnect to certain groups of people based off of their values, But we got to be able to find some common thread, and I think the common thread is that we're all human. It's like sometimes I feel like we forgot that. Sometimes people forget that we are human. It's like, hey, you have blood circulating through your body. You need food, you need water. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that connect us. So we're going to see that. And then, of course, the big thing is that moon is going to, of course, make the square over to Jupiter. So it's like we get the Wednesday, and then we get the Thursday when the moon squares Uranus and then it squares Jupiter. And this Thursday is probably going to be an interesting one too, because like I said, the whole thing with the school stuff with Jupiter here, of course, it's probably going to definitely ignite a little bit, especially with Mars coming to the first degree of Aries. So it actually comes off of, it's like fully into Aries now. And it's wanting to definitely, I'm not going to say wreak havoc, but definitely take some names. definitely wants to put itself out there, definitely wants to move forward and blaze a new path. But thing is, so we got Big Daddy Pluto. It's going to retrograde on Thursday. Pretty much the moment that the moon, within an hour pretty much of the moon going into Pisces. This is when things are going to start to get trippy. Thursday is when things are going to start to get trippy. Because we're going to see Pluto retrograde, and now this is when things are going to start to happen. Now, of course, with Pluto being an outer planet, its energy is going to be a little bit more subtle, right? But I think this is interesting because we have this interesting week, this oscillation between two of the personal planets going into their home signs. So we'll feel those energies more obviously, but then we have the two outermost planets making some pretty important shifts. Pluto is going to retrograde, and it will come back to the final degree of Capricorn, 29 degrees. And then, of course, we're going to see Neptune it looks like it's going to be Friday. We're going to see Neptune early Friday morning on the East Coast come to 29 degrees of Pisces. Now, I'm going to read these degrees, of course, to you, but this is a big deal. Anytime that you have a planet hit the final degree of any sign, it's a big deal. Let alone Neptune hitting the final degree of the sign that it rules and the last degree of the Zodiac, where things are very intense, on the edge, and it does feel like it kind of feels like an ultimatum, but it's definitely very, very intense. It's that moment right before the new day, the new year, and Neptune is going to be on this spot. It's going to retrograde at 29 degrees too. We gotta remember, Neptune, like I said, its energy is gonna be more subtle, right? But it rules a lot of different things besides spirituality, religion, the ocean, obviously, being that it's Neptune, the personification of the ocean and stuff. But we also have to think that it rules drugs, overdoses, hospitals, jails, those sort of things, you know? And these are the things that I feel like now that it's at this degree, and especially with a moon that's going to be coming over it over the weekend, where this will be the first time that the collective has felt 29 degrees of Pisces in all of our lives. We've never have seen the moon conjunct Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. No one alive has seen that or has experienced that unless you've been alive since the Civil War. But now that is going to be a thing. And that's the interesting thing about this too. With the outer planets, a lot of times people don't necessarily feel the energy and stuff like that, but the moon is what helps you to feel that energy, right? So Neptune is the strongest planet in the Zodiac, and it's been the strongest planet for a while, right? You also have to think that Neptune, Pisces, it rules movies, film, illusions, delusions, hallucinations, dreams. So now that it's at this spot, life is definitely going to start to feel more like a dream. Like, this can't be real. Like, this can't be happening. And there's going to be this desire, especially with the moon here in Pisces too, to want to escape. To escape it all. And, you know, I think that's why it's very important now to, you know, focus on something that, you know, brings you joy, obviously, but to focus on something that just gives you a sense of inner peace, that's something that you truly value, something that you can build. This is not quick fix kind of energy, but with the Neptune here at this last degree, it's going to make people want to dope up and try and forget reality as much as they can, because the things that we're about to see, the things that are coming, people are going to be like, enough is enough. A lot of people are going to be at the end of their rope, because Neptune is literally at the end of the rope of the Zodiac. And that's just how it is, you know? I'm not trying to paint it like a bad picture, but I'm also not going to bullshit you guys either. So, we see that on Friday. We'll see, of course, that moon is going to conjunct Saturn at 16 degrees. That's going to be like late, pretty much Friday. And then we will see that moon on top of Neptune. Saturday, early afternoon here on the East Coast, we'll see that moon conjunct Neptune on the last degree of the Zodiac. And that's a big moment here. Saturday's gonna be a big moment, especially because like we'll be feeling so much into this, right? And the moon moves fast, so by the time that night comes, where's the moon gonna be? It's gonna be on Mars. This is a Saturday where I really, I know sometimes I probably sound like a broken record where I caution people of going out on certain nights. There are certain Saturdays or Fridays when people usually go out that I'm like, yeah, it'll be a good time to go out. This is a Saturday where I'd be like, you want to just be very, very fucking careful, because it's the first time that we've had a moon conjunct Neptune at 29 degrees since the Civil War time, and then the moon's going to come on top of Mars in Aries. So, like, just be fucking careful, because you don't know. People who are at the end of the rope that may not know that at the end of their rope, or people that know they're at the end of their rope, now that Neptune is on this final fucking degree, ow, how I rolled over my foot. I did not mean to do that. Ow. Because some stuff fell down. Jeez. See? They don't want me to talk about this. Whew, that hurt. But the fact that this is going to happen, people are really going to, like, when people's emotions and the Mars, like the action, kind of anger, energy come together, that's going to pop off some stuff. I'm telling you, Saturday may be a day where you just kind of chill at home and try not to roll over your foot. That hurt. You may want to stay at home Saturday night. You may not want. I know it's Cinco de Mayo weekend. I know this is May the 4th be with you. I know it's Star Wars Day too. But you may want to just chill at home and watch Star Wars instead of going out with your friends. Because this is a weekend that, and I know bar fights and different things happen every single weekend, but this especially, this is going to be, you're going to see so many more bar fights, so many more fights at clubs. You're going to see so much shit at clubs. It's just, you want to be careful with this kind of energy. I'm just saying. You want to be careful with this kind of energy. We're going to see that happen here on Saturday. And then, of course, moving over into Sunday, we're going to see, of course, the moon cross over these spots. It's going to come back to the degree that the new moon was at. The new moon that we had, of course, new moon solar eclipse in Aries. So it's going to come back to that spot. So we're going to get a revisit of that. It's crazy that it's been a month already since then. Just think about how much has happened in this last month and stuff, too. A lot has happened in this last month, you know? So Mercury is going to come on top of Chiron. It's going to be conjuncting Chiron here in Aries as well. And the moon, of course, is going to join up with this energy. Now, mind you, yes, it's going to be pretty much overnight, right? So a lot of people won't necessarily be awake for this, especially since people are going to be getting ready for the day. But oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, is this night heading into the next week going to be interesting. When people wake up for work the next morning, and that moon is going to be coming on top of Eris, which is going to set the tone for the week, coming into a new moon in Taurus, which means that this week is probably going to be a bit of a battle. This week may provide its fair share of strife, struggle, if you will, But I think, so long as we, realize that while things are moving forward, we still do have to know that there are some aspects that we have to go back and look at. That's why this whole Pluto retrograde thing and going back into Capricorn at 29 degrees is such a freaking big deal, right? So it's important to take that into consideration, It's important to take into consideration that this is still the sun here in Taurus, with Venus now here in Taurus, Uranus and Jupiter. So we're kind of moving more into Taurus world, right? With a lot of these planets that are moving. We still, of course, have a lot of energy in Aries with Mars and Mercury and Chiron and stuff, but we're moving more into the Taurus world, right? So it's going to be about value. There's gonna be a lot more concerns about money and stuff like that too, obviously. But this is about the things that we already have. This is about what we can build, not the things, not necessarily, you know, looking for those super exciting experiences and wanting the rush and the edge. This is about building stuff. This is about getting our hands in the soil and actually planting, right? That's what this is about. Which may sound boring, right, to actually get your hands in the dirt, but it's cathartic. It's a form of meditation, and that's what this is going to be about. That we're going to see, of course, that moon finish up in Aries, and then it'll go into Taurus on Monday. So by the time that we come back together on Tuesday, that moon would have conjunct Venus, which is interesting. That'll be happening on Tuesday. And this will be a nice day. Tuesday will be an interesting day because it's moon in its exaltation, Venus at home. They're going to conjunct here, and it's definitely going to give off a positive energy. Mercury is going to move past Chiron. It's going to definitely provide a nice little positive energy here. And I think with the whole culmination, the way that this week is kind of converging for this moon, Venus, sun conjunction that's happening in Taurus here is how even through all of the edge, through the tempest, through all of that, we can still reach a new day. We can still find the beauty in life, find the beauty in what we have, find the beauty in those connections that are working out, those relationships that are in our life, that are showing up. This is definitely going to be this element where it's like people are wanting to strive and want things that they don't have and stuff. And, there's an element where it's like, you know what? We definitely should have goals and dreams. But I think this is also about, can we appreciate what we do have, where we are, the relationships that are working out? Can we appreciate those? The fact that this whole week kind of culminates into really this moment, because by the time, like I said, that we come back together and I'm talking to you guys, will probably be sometime around the actual new moon in Taurus, right? When I will be talking again, right? So Tuesday is going to be a nice day. It's going to give off some very nice energy, especially with that conjunction that's happening there. But the trick is whether or not we can see the gifts that God, universe, whatever you want to call it, are presenting to us. If we get too caught up in the illusion, if we get too caught up in the media, if we get too caught up in the narrative that's being put out by the world or media or whatever like that, we get too caught up in all the distractions, then we will fail to see the beautiful gift that is this new moon. Because it's a freaking beautiful gift. We will fail to see it, right? And, that's the thing to consider. Mercury by that point will be almost moving a degree a day. So Mercury's picking up speed, And I think that this week can end on a very positive note, but only if we allow it to. I think it's about not picking sides. There's going to be this element too here where it's going to want you to pick a side. Pick the light side or the dark side, And this whole dichotomy is playing off in multiple areas of our life, whether we're picking the light side or the dark side, But this is not about picking a side. It's about choosing to live from your heart-centered truth. And what the hell does that even mean? Well, I think it probably means different things to everybody. What does it mean to live from your heart-centered truth? But when you do that, it's just something that you know, it's innate. And you realize that there's no need for you to pick sides, because the only side that we should all pick is humanity and each other. Yes, we may not necessarily see eye to eye on everything. We may not agree with everything, but violence just begets more violence. That's just all. That's the main thing that we're going to. Violence begets more violence. And we are all in the dark about something, right? There are known knowns and there are unknown knowns, right? There are things that we know. There are things that we know we don't know. There are also a lot of unknown unknowns, things that we don't even know that we don't know. And I think, over this next 5-year period, a lot of those unknown unknowns are about to come to light and be revealed. And it's going to be about whether or not you have the spiritual fortitude to handle these truths that are going to be coming out. Because a lot of people aren't going to be able to handle them. Or a lot of people are going to fall so hard for the delusions and the anesthesia that even when they come out and start telling us the truth, that people are still going to be like, nah, you're just lying to me. Nah, that can't be true. No. I'm like, huh? I think that this week can end off with a very beautiful gift with the moon, Venus, sun, and Taurus. Now, of course, Uranus is still there, and Uranus doesn't want to be in Taurus, mind you. And then, of course, Jupiter is there too. So it does bring about, there's like a bit of a party in Taurus at the end of this. But there's Uranus, of course, which always is going to throw some weird kind of mix into it. So it's not going to necessarily look the way that we thought. And the people that are at the party are probably not the people that we thought were going to be at the party. But they are the people that, at least to this point, you have shown the universe that these are the people that matter the most. And I think it's going to be about whether or not, especially with that new moon, you continue to associate with certain groups of people, or you decide to, embrace shifting values if they are connect with those people that really do align with your values. But also, while at the same time, not shunning or putting down anyone that may think a little bit different than you, or maybe a little bit different than you. It's not about othering other people, right? The fact that we are all unique, I'm not going to get mad, and this is a stupid example, but I'm not going to get mad at someone because their favorite Pokemon isn't Scyther and mine is. That's stupid. Now, I know it's like a very dumb example, but I'm not going to get mad because someone else's favorite is Scyther. I'm glad that someone's favorite is like Pokemon that I don't really give a fuck about or don't care as much about, right? Like Bruxish. It looks weird, although it's kind of grown on me in some aspects, but it looks weird. And I know you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's like some Pokemon just look weird. They're not my cup of tea, but it's someone's favorite, right? It's someone's favorite, and that's cool. That's awesome because all Pokemon deserve love. So, all people deserve love too. Believe it or not, Trump is somebody's favorite. And I'm not just talking about like his fans. I'm talking about someone that's like close to him, that knows him more on a deeper, intimate level and loves him and stuff like that. Right? That's the thing about it. It's like there's like this desire to want to be accepted so much from other people that this week is going to reveal a lot of, except first with Neptune hitting that last degree of Pisces, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, connecting the people, a third quarter square to the sun at 11 degrees. Venus is in its home sign, Mars in its home sign. It's definitely going to feel like we're kind of moving forward, but at the same time, we're not able to move as fast as we want to, or maybe it's not packaged the right way. That's the thing about the present that's going to come at the end of this week. Maybe we're upset about the packaging of it, all right? We could be worried about the contents of it, but we're worried about the packaging of it, the way that it looks. Don't get caught up on the way it looks. That is an illusion, and if you get caught up on the way that it looks, you've lost. I'm just going to be honest. If you get caught up on the fucking wrapping paper of the present, that's going to be this new moon with Venus and Uranus and Jupiter at the end of this week, coming like next Tuesday. If you get caught up on what the wrapping paper looks like, then you fucking lost. If the wrapping job isn't the greatest, or if it's in a fucking gift bag but you expected a box, like, don't get caught up on the package. Because if you do, you've lost the fucking game. And a lot of people, I'm sorry to say, are going to be caught up on the fucking package. And they're going to lose the fucking game. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's just, it is what it is. It's going to happen. So, but, like I said, we'll talk more about that new moon in Taurus, next week. But I do want to talk about just the whole battle of the light and dark. And also with the whole Pluto and Aquarius thing that's going to be retrograding, just kind of going back to what is it that we're kind of revisiting, if you will. I've talked about Pluto going into Capricorn, but let's just stick to the Neptune, actually. Let's stick to the Neptune about where is that battle of light and dark that's going to be happening for people, right? So let me see if I can do this real fast. So I'm going to properties, I'm going to do application capture, and then let's see if it'll let me. Oh, see, look at that. Let's see. No, I got that. I just want to make it bigger. So I want to make sure that you guys can actually see everything. Let's see, close. Let me just close the window. We do properties. I guess I'll just go back to window capture. If I go to, there was a way to do it earlier where I was able to like pretty much resize everything. That way you guys could actually I could just go sign by sign. It was a lot easier that way, I felt. Like if I just go to sheets and then say I do that. It's not going to let me do what I want it to do, is it? It's not going to let me do what I want it to do. Hold on. Yeah, because you guys are not going to be able to really see that very well. Let's see. Here, that's okay. This is what I end up doing. So, I'm going to move that. No, you guys aren't going to be able to see that very well. I'm just going to have to do it a different way. Yeah, I know the way I'm going to do it. So, let's see. I think I figured this out. See, I'm learning this as I go. So, window capture. Okay. And we can go sign by sign. I know it's going to be a little bit blurry, but hopefully you guys will be able to see this and stuff like that. So as far as this whole battle of, like I said, this whole battle right here, we're just going to mainly be focusing on the Neptune and kind of where you're going to be feeling the collective light and dark battle for each sign. So that's what I'm going to really be focusing on. So of course here, all right, so we have, so for Aries, of course, this is your 12th house. So you're going to be, in many ways, I mean, this is in your 12th house. So you're going to be feeling this definitely very much so spiritually. With Mars, of course, in your first house, though, you're going to be kind of acting this out probably more than anyone. I would say the only other person that probably act out this more will probably be Pisces and stuff, you know? So with this being, like I said, here, and it's like right in your 12th house. This is going to be very, very spiritual for you, Aries. This is going to be a time where that light and dark battle, like, you guys are, Aries are about to have some of the craziest dreams they've ever had in their entire fucking life. Unless you were alive during the Civil War. But Aries, you guys are about to have some of the craziest fucking dreams you've ever had in your entire life. You know? The energy may feel a little bit more subtle, but because it's you, Aries, you're probably going to be acting it out in an interesting way with Mars in your home sign. So just be prepared for that, Aries. I think it's going to be quite interesting for you guys. Now, Taurus. Of course, Taurus, this is playing out in your 11th house, you know. So Taurus is, your big battles are definitely going to be this whole light and dark battle with this whole Neptune at this last degree, and where you're going to feel the intensity. It's definitely going to be coming through, you know, how you're connecting to larger groups of people, your social, like how you are social, if you will. I wouldn't be surprised if Taurus is, if you feel like you are having to sort of be like almost like a mediator, especially with Venus now in your sign. You may find yourself being sort of like the mediator between groups of people and trying to find some sort of commonality with this being in your 11th. But Taurus, like, this light and dark battle, it's going to take on a very weird 11th house Uranian kind of vibe, especially the fact that Uranus, the natural ruler of the 11th house, the natural ruler of Aquarius, is in your sign too. So I think this is why people may even start looking to you, Taurus, for some type of insight, if you will, with Neptune here at 11 degrees. You're going to be channeling a lot of higher cosmic knowledge with this sort of transit, Taurus. So just be prepared for that. Gemini, this of course is happening in your 10th. Geminis are about to really go through some very interesting career, workplace drama. Like, this may be a point where Geminis want to switch everything. I mean, they might want to switch everything up. This whole battle between light and dark. This is going to be a moment here for the Geminis where, like, the whole work life thing. First of all, work life balance is just like completely fucked right now for Geminis. It's been crazy for a while, especially with Saturn there in your 10th. But you know, you probably feel like you haven't had a work life balance, Gemini. You probably feel like you haven't had a work life balance in a while. And now with Neptune here at that last degree, man, like, this is gonna be, it's gonna make for some interesting energy. Gemini, I definitely caution you guys as far as like you going out with like coworkers this weekend. It might turn weird. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the workplace is about to get very weird for Gemini, where this whole battle of the light and dark and this whole Neptune at the last degree is going to be playing out. Work might start to feel like a bit of a civil war. You know, and Gemini, you may find yourself trying to figure out how to pick sides. And Gemini, of course, with you being the social butterfly that you are, you're going to be able to actually intellectualize and understand each side of the coin. But you have to ask yourself, like, with Venus in your 12th, is it spiritually aligned? Do you really value this, especially since it's going to culminate into that new moon that's happening in your 12th? You got to ask yourself, really, it's like, do I like value this? Like, is it like a spiritual thing, or is it just some surface level shit? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the weird thing about a Taurus 12th house, is that it takes some of the obvious, in our face, kind of like physical reality, and it turns it spiritual. It's like for Gemini, you know, just incarnating here is, and all the things that they go through in the physical is just like spiritual in and of itself. So that's kind of how it's playing out for you guys. And like I said, with it being in your 10th house, Neptune in that 10th house, you're definitely are going to start to feel some of the intensity when it comes to like your career purpose and legacy, and probably just like wondering, like, what is it that you want to leave behind anyways, right? Now, Cancer. this is playing out in your ninth, there's going to be a lot of interesting upheaval when it comes to your belief structure. You know, your belief structure, what it is that you, it's interesting. I feel like with the cancers too, it's like, I think y'all gone through so much over the last 15 years that some of y'all cancers are actually like finally like embracing that you can't be Captain Save-A-Ho, but it's like you also are like about to give up like the healing quality that you are Cancer and that you are a healer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the weird thing about it. Cancer is interesting. Cancer is literally here to be themselves. That's their purpose, because what is their 10th house? Aries. And then where's the North Node? Aries. Cancer, your purpose is to be who you are. The problem is that you always give yourself to people that are going to step all over you and that don't appreciate you for who you are and your value and what you bring to the table. That's the problem. But that new moon in the 11th is going to be nice, mind you, but it's only going to be nice if you don't embrace or accept that some of the beliefs that you have had have led you down paths and roads that haven't led to anywhere but heartbreak and frustration. So this Neptune here at this final degree is definitely going to be putting some of your beliefs on the fucking chopping block and bringing them up. And also, like I said, since this is the last degree, this is like it's like delusion central, right? It's that moment right before the Wizard of Oz was discovered, and he just ramps up the anesthesia, and it just seems crazy and out of nowhere. So like Cancer, some of your beliefs and stuff like that, you're about to be kind of come face to face with just how out there they probably are. You have to ask yourself, have you created a whole an illusion for yourself because you believed that it had to look a certain way? And you created this whole world because you believed that someone did something or they did this or whatever have you, and that's what it's coming down to, because it's the new moon and that new moon in your 11th. So, and Eros, of course, is in your freaking 12th in Gemini. So yeah, Cancers have created a reality that is based off of what other people have perceivably done to them, but it's about this energy is going to challenge your belief on that whole thing. It's almost like Cancer, you have to kind of go back and watch the film again and realize that you actually misremembered shit. Leo. Now, this Neptune, of course, is going to be in your 8th. This is a pretty big transformation for Leos. I feel like Leos are really at this moment of surrender, because that new moon in their 10th house, which we'll talk a little bit more about that next week, but that new moon in your 12th, it's definitely going to be great because it's going to bring some great opportunities for Leos to make some bukus of cash and bukus of money. But the thing is that it's going to come through some sort of transformation and some type of sacrifice. That's the whole Neptune at the last degree. And because this is the 8th house, Leo especially, I just want to caution you guys against overdoses, against drug use. Don't take it too far, because with it being in the 8th house and Saturn's in your 8th too, and Saturn don't fucking play, Leos, you guys kind of have to be on your best behavior. Not even gonna lie, y'all kind of have to be on your best behavior, because if you push the boundaries too much here, you may find yourself in a very, very, very weird and dark place. Positive side is that if you embrace a lot of the new beautiful things that are coming and really can get through this and can see that beautiful gift at the end of this tunnel, you will realize that you have everything that you need to succeed and the right people in your corner, or they will show up at the very least, and you can really be that, kind of like God's chosen. Well, I mean, we're all God's chosen, but you can be that Leo and shine bright and really just show people what it means to live from your heart-centered truth, because that's what you're here to do. You're here to live from your heart-centered truth because you embody and embrace that more than any other sign. But this weird energy with Neptune here at the last degree of Pisces in your freaking 8th house, this is a massive, massive transformation. And because Neptune's going to retrograde here, you're not going to, it's like you're not going to be able to get the full transformation. It's going to be like you're evolving and you stop mid-evolution. It's like it's like a Charmeleon that's about to evolve into Charizard, and he's like an Everstone gets thrown at the Charmeleon, and then he stops evolving midway through, right? That can be frustrating. I think that's the thing where Leos are, is that they're frustrated, is that they can feel like they're about to evolve and get to the next level, but they need a little bit more experience points. So just do your best to not get frustrated over that. Just know that you are on the precipice of massive transformation and some amazing, incredible value that you can bring to the world. Value that we have not seen Leo bring to the world yet. And it's going to be awesome when Leo really steps into that. Virgo, this of course is happening in your 7th house. So your whole idea of like relationships and stuff like that are about to be challenged. You have a lot of like illusions and delusions kind of around relationships, relatability, balance, harmony, justice. And I feel like, Virgos here, just when it comes to these relationships, you want to be careful. You want to make sure that you're not creating these ideas in your head of what you think relationships should be, that they should look like. You may be kind of fooling yourself into seeing a relationship. It's like, oh, they're not going to cheat on me again. They cheated on you 5 times, honey. Like, it's, it is what it is, But this is like, especially with Venus and the moon and the sun in your 9th, it definitely does come down to what relationships do you believe in, and do those relationships provide that value back to you? You know what I'm saying? So this can be great for Virgo. I think they can, this can give them an opportunity to really see some of the beauty and like the silver linings and things. But I think Virgo also too, because Mars is in your 8th, and that's like the house of shared resources, and also that's the house of like intimacy. It's like sometimes Virgo, you guys can get very weird about your intimacy, if you will. And sometimes y'all can get rather particular about it. You know what I'm saying? What's interesting with the Aries 8th house, it's like, this is the weird thing about Virgo, is that like, that's why Virgos are kind of like closet whores or sluts. Not really, but y'all get around. But it's because I think you guys can kind of find a way to be intimate with just about anybody. But intimacy doesn't necessarily mean sex either. You know what I mean, Virgo? So I think, like I said, this is really about, your relationships and what are the sort of illusions that you might have created around your relationships and how those have kind of affected you and impacted you. But you are going to manifest what you believe about these relationships in the 9th house. You're going to manifest what you believe. That's the thing about having that new moon there in the 9th house. And of course, the Uranus there, it's going to look weird. It's going to be packaged weird. And with that Mars in the 8th, just like I said, this is it's an interesting energy too. Just don't go doing any crazy things, Virgo, and just kind of channel some of that aggression with that Mars in the 8th. At least it's in a house that it likes to be in. But channel some of that aggression. If you have some, if you're frustrated that things don't look exactly the way that you want, I think it's about channeling that and realizing that you already have the most beautiful things in your life right now. And, that's really what you should focus on. So, Libra, this is happening in your 6th house. So, Libra, your whole day-to-day reality is going to shift. All right? Your whole day-to-day reality. The illusion right now, Libra, is that, the service that you provide to humanity, the service, what you're here to do, your whole illusion on what that is what actually has to come down. That's the sort of the battle that's going to be playing out. it's the sixth house stuff. It's the day to day. It's the hard work. It's the service to humanity. You know what I mean? And 12th house in many ways rules service as well, like selfless service. But like the sixth house is like, is that day to day service, whatever like that. And, you know, with that new moon happening in your eighth house, definitely is going to be a time where it's kind of similar to Virgo, but you're going to be manifesting, but it's going to be coming from that more eighth house area. So this could be an interesting thing where Libra, you could manifest, you really could manifest like some like crazy investment. You really could, because eighth house is also investments. Um, Someone could invest in you, Libra, come the end of the week, but I think it's gonna come down to how do you live your day to day reality, and whether or not someone really wants to get involved in that. That's what the whole thing with the Neptune at the six. Also going to come to whether or not are you serving just yourself or are you serving other people, right? The difficult part, of course, Mars is in your seventh house, Aries, which is opposing you. Libras have to learn how to get along. Libras have to learn that they are here in many ways to be that balance, to be that harmony. They're not necessarily here for themselves. Not necessarily, you know? And I think Libra, because the South Node is in your sign, you're kind of on a bit of a revenge tour right now where you're wanting to, you know, you don't want to be stepped on. You don't want to be taken advantage of. But it's like you also, there's a quality that you bring where you can be the judge. Saturn is exalted in your sign. Like you can be the judge. You can be the one to find the compromise. You can be the diplomat. But it's like you don't have to be a doormat, but a diplomat. And I feel like you have to find, of course, the right people that aren't going to treat you like that doormat. Libra and Cancer kind of have a similar issue when it comes to that. Cancer will cry about it, and Libra will just make fun of you about it. But at the same time, Libra will be secretly crying about it as well. That's the weird thing about it, you know? So, but Libra, you are here to actually care for people. Your 10th house is Cancer. You are here to heal the world as well. You're here to care about people, right? But you have to ask yourself, you know, am I being selfish here? Am I being too selfish here? Or, you know, am I actually going to be of service to people? And you have to find the right people to be of service to. I think that's really important, obviously. You have to find the right causes to be of service to. I think that's very important here. It's about trusting your spirit. You know, the sixth house, Pisces. Yeah, you are here to be a spiritual server, Libra. I hate to say it, you are here to be a spiritual server. And it's like some of y'all don't want to be that, you know. But Libras always end up finding themselves somehow settling disputes and just sort of being like the mom of the group or the dad of the group. They always find themselves doing that. And then they wonder why they can't have time for themselves. And it's kind of weird with that, Libra. So, I mean, I get the frustration too, especially with Pluto that's been squaring you for the last 15 years. So I get the frustration. But you still have to, like I said, find that balance within your own day-to-day reality and realize that, you know, this is about bringing peace to that area in your life and realizing that by being the spiritual server to humanity, you can really bring about some awesome stuff, and no one will step on you because of the role that you are. No one will take advantage of you, Libra, because they see your value and they see your worth, and they know that an investment in you is an investment that can really pay off dividends, whether it's actually money or just in general. Scorpio. Now, this Neptune, of course, is in your fifth house. So Scorpio, this has everything to do with your creativity, your heart, love. I think Scorpios have kind of had this image of the world, and they've seen everything in black and white. And I feel like Scorpios, this is going to be an opportunity for our delusions of the heart and creativity to really start to come down and be revealed. And, you know, Scorpio, and I am a Scorpio too, so I'm talking to myself. This is is an interesting one, right? I think a lot of Scorpios have like almost like fallen out of love with themselves, the world, whether they love the world or not. But it's like you almost have to like reclaim, you know, what it is to truly be alive and live. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the weird thing about Scorpios. That Scorpios are here. Their 10th house is Leo. So it's like their purpose is to shine. Their purpose is to be intense, if you will, like a Leo does, right? That's the weird thing about it. With a Pisces in the 5th house, this is why it's like, especially with Saturn here too, you can take your imagination and you can really make something of it. You can really do something. You can go as far as your imagination will carry you. That's the cool thing about this. I feel like with Scorpios though, with Neptune here at the last degree, maybe you're feeling like you're not imagining big enough, Scorpio. That's what it comes down to. You're not imagining big enough. You're actually thinking small, which is weird because Scorpio usually don't think small, but you're not imagining big enough. You know, the fantasy, the imagination, the goal, the dream, it's not big enough. And I think what's going to come down is this whole illusion around your dream and whether it's worth it to pursue it, right? I think that's really what this comes down to. I think the challenge, of course, I think the beautiful gift are those relationships with that 7th house too, with that new moon that's going to be happening there, the moon conjuncting Venus, Uranus is there, Jupiter is there. So a lot of times it's going to come through those relationships. Do they support your dreams? I think that's what Scorpios are going to be questioning, and they're going to be asking themselves, I have this big dream, this big goal, this big ambition, and it should be big. It's Leo in the 10th. Your 10th house is Leo. It should be big. It should be bright. It should be bold. Are those people in your life, do they support that or do they not? Now, they may not necessarily get it all the way. You know, they may not necessarily know how you're going to pull it off. You may not know how you're going to pull it off. But at the very least, do they support you? Or are they just talking trash? And they're saying, like, oh, you can't do that. That's not possible. Don't listen to the hype as far as that goes. You have Scorpio, you have big dreams. And it's about time that you start acting like you have big dreams. And it's okay to have those big dreams as well. It's not too much. It's not too intense. It's not impossible. Scorpio, you can really pull off the impossible if you really set your heart to it and really go for it. Sag. This Neptune and Pisces, of course, is happening in your 4th house. So this is going to, of course, have a lot to do with your emotional foundation, your family. So a lot of your illusions around your family, your emotional foundation, your home are going to start to come down. This may throw some interesting, like just your home life in general it may get a little bit weird, with Neptune here at the last degree. You don't want your home to become a civil war. And I think that's the weird thing about Sag is that, like, if you have like a weird home life or a crazy home situation, you may find yourself in a civil war. Like if you have like roommates Sag and stuff like that, some of your roommates may start to get mad at each other. They're going to want you to pick a side and shit like that. Like that energy can happen. Wouldn't be surprised if Sages somehow come into that sort of energy. Or if you're living at home still with like your parents, something like that may come up too. Right? So, of course, that new moon is happening in your 6th house, so that has to do with your day-to-day reality. You know what I mean? And you even manifesting a new habit, maybe. You manifesting a new ritual, if you will. And that's really what's going to come down to. So, like, how do you avoid the strife potentially or the intensity of a Neptune at 29 degrees in your 4th house? It's by establishing a routine and a habit that you value, and it's going to bring you up to the next level. That's how Sag does it. And Sag, you're not going to want to do that because you want things to be spontaneous and random and weird and out of the box and out of the ordinary. And the illusion here with Neptune here at the last degree is that, doing that and even having a home life that looks like that looks a little bit different, stuff like that, it's not really going to get you to the place that you really want. What's going to get you to the place that you really want is by establishing a routine or a pattern and just keep moving forward. Your ruling planet, Jupiter, is in your sixth. Just keep moving forward and you will eventually be able to party. It's like, I feel like Sag just wants to party and not think about the future. You gotta have your eye on the prize. That's what Sag needs to do. Sag needs to pick a target and focus on it. Just focus on it, right? That's what you need to do, Sag. Otherwise, your home life is going to feel like a civil war. Capricorn, this is happening in your third. So, yeah, your mind is going to be the civil war. It's going to be all in your mind. It's going to be all in your head. And it's interesting because we're about to see like a lot of Capricorns in like high positions start to make some weird ass fucking decisions that will affect the collective because of the civil war that's happening in your mind. Now, the new moon that's going to be happening in your fifth, it's going to be about, you know, you're going to manifest what's in your heart. That's what's going to happen. You're going to manifest what's in your heart. And I think, you know, Capricorn, for you guys, it's interesting, you know, you've gone through obviously a lot over the last 15 years, let's be real. And then Pluto's going to come back into your sign. So it's like, I feel like Capricorns really want to transform and evolve and go to the next level, but I feel like there's like something that has to be revisited and stuff like that. But with a Neptune here at these last degrees, I'm just going to say it, Capricorn, your mind's going to be all over the place. It's going to feel crazy. You're going to feel like you're your own worst enemy. You know what I'm saying? The illusion, of course, is that, you know, the illusion for Capricorn is that you aren't your mind, okay? I think you're overly personifying with the mind, probably because your ruling planet, Saturn, is in your third house too, right? So that's the whole thing. Now, the mind is an incredible tool. In Capricorn, you like using tools. So the illusion is that your mind is your foe, but it's not your foe. It's a tool that you can use to manifest. And that's really what it's going to come down to for Capricorn with this one. You're about to see some weird things with Capricorns. I will say this, and them feeling like they finally got a chance to like move forward and not have to do a Pluto again, but Pluto's going to come back to the 29th degree. And it's going to revisit that spot. You know, Capricorn, so you're not done yet. You're almost there, but you're not done. But once you get past this whole idea that your mind is the enemy and stuff like that, and you trying to silence your mind, that's the only problem. That's the other thing too with Capricorn too, with Neptune here in the third house, is that like you guys are going to be, a lot of Capricorns are going to be seeking mind altering drugs, like a lot more with Neptune at this fucking degree. And it's like, you just want to be careful that you're not like, you're trying to silence your mind, but you probably should actually listen to some of these thoughts that are coming through, start to consider some of these things and not necessarily overly attached to them, but to consider what's coming up. You can't run away and escape from your mind. Capricorn, that is going to be the trap. It's you trying to escape from your own mind, but you can't do that. You have to confront it head on. Aquarius, this is happening in your second house, of course. So this definitely, of course, like I said, has a lot to do with your value, your worth, money. The illusion for Aquarius is that they feel like they're not enough. They feel like they're not enough, that they won't ever have enough. The illusion is that they will always be, I guess, in someone else's shadow. I feel like Aquarius always feels like they're going to be in Capricorn's shadow. And that's sort of the illusion, if you will. That's the illusion here for Aquarius. Now, what's really going to make that shift for you, I want to say, well, probably it's going to look that new moon that's going to be happening in your fourth, and the moon on top of Venus and stuff like that. That's positive. You know, the new thing is about establishing a new emotional foundation and some new boundaries, if you will. Not allowing people to cross these boundaries and to affect your emotions to the point where you feel like you're all over the place and feel like you're not worthy, you know, feel like other people don't like, you know, value you or your time and stuff. That's what it comes down to as well. Saturn's in your second house. So right now, Aquarius is really value time, but time just feels so crazy. It feels like an illusion because it's in Pisces, right? But right now, Aquariuses are really valuing time right now. The time is very, very important. But like I said, the illusion, I think, for you guys is that you feel like time. I think, Aquarius, you feel like you're running out of time, but you're not actually running out of time. And that's the thing about it. You feel like you're running out of time, and you feel like, you know, you're not going to have enough, that there's some lack there. But you have everything in the fucking universe. Everything. Right? You're connected to everything in the universe. And that's the higher cosmic understanding that Aquariuses bring and stuff like that too. And like I said, like, we still have to, of course, deal with the whole Pluto it's in your sign, it's gonna retrograde back into your 12th, so it's gonna be a very spiritual transformation and stuff, and it's gonna come back into your sign and stay there for 20 years. So it's like, but we are in this moment of like, we are ending cycles and beginning new cycles. So Aquarius, you're not running out of time. You're not running out of time, and you will have more and manifest more from a physical standpoint. It's like Aquariuses are interesting because their second house, the most physical of the houses, is Pisces. So Aquariuses can you guys are kind of like genies, although Pisces is the genie, but you guys are kind of like genies too. It's like your physical manifestations are a reflection of like your beliefs and spirituality and stuff like that too. So it's gonna be an interesting one. Like I said, the whole battle of light and dark is just going to be whether or not you truly know your value or not, and realize that, that comes from, your relationship with the divine, your relationship with spirit, and it's not from anyone really else and stuff like that. So you got to realize that you're not running out of time and that you are enough. I feel like Aquarius just want to know that they're enough. Like you're enough, Aquarius. You are enough. I promise you. Fucking badass. You really are. Pisces, this of course is in your first house. So really the battle of dark and light with Pisces is whether or not they really are going to show the world just how fucking magical they are. With the new moon in the third house, this is going to bring a whole new mindset, hopefully, for Pisces. And they feel like don't always have to run away or escape or feel like someone's going to hurt them or whatever like that. Pisces can hold a grudge like no one else. It's like I thought Scorpios can hold grudges, but Pisces, y'all can hold a grudge like it's no one's business. So it's like Pisces. This is about you actually showing and revealing who you really are. It's like you are the Wizard of Oz, right? Putting off this show, and it's like when people finally get to meet the real you, I think you're afraid of rejection. You're afraid that people aren't going to like you anymore or want to be around you because they probably think that you are so out there and you speak a language that no one else really can speak and understand. But I think it's like it's going to be through these actions and through showing that, Mercury is in Aries in your second house. Pisces, your actions are going to speak very loudly because people are going to be able to see the physical manifestations of them, right? And Mars is here too in your second house. So people are going to see the physical manifestations of your thoughts, So it's like you're not going to really be able to hide it anymore, Pisces. This is the transit where Pisces, you actually cannot hide who you are anymore. So you might as well just come all the way out the closet and just be who you are. All the way. And the people that will embrace you, and the people that don't necessarily get it won't necessarily get it. Don't sweat it, and just appreciate those relationships that do get it. This third house, that's also your neighborhood and your vicinity and stuff like that. So Pisces, some of you guys may end up moving. You may, or at least get the opportunity even with that new moon that's happening. Maybe you move to another part of town. Maybe you just move to the other side of town, not like far away. This is the ninth house. This is third house. So you may find yourself moving during this time or wanting to go across, maybe move to another city, but like maybe that's not that far away, or a different, I guess, neighborhood of the city that you might live near and stuff like that. That could be happening, So, which would be good. I think it will provide like a nice change of scenery, and I think that's what Pisces really needs. y'all probably do need a little bit of a change of scenery, if you will. So this could also be a good time for Pisces to kind of, do that. Maybe go to some places that you've never been before, and you'll meet new people and stuff like that. And you don't feel like you have to be fake, but you sound like you can't really hide it anymore, anyways, because the jig is up. We all know how magical you guys are, and it's about time you guys just show us that you guys are really genies, just granting wishes and shit. So, um, this one went a little bit longer, but I just kind of wanted to go through all that with all the signs. Well, I was able to like kind of just show you chart by chart too, so that's pretty cool. But let me go ahead and just draw some cards for the collective as well, and then we will move on, and hope that this message helped you all today. Hope it, bring some insight into the transits and what we can expect to see over the next week or so. Go ahead and shuffle those back into this deck. But yeah, I think it will definitely be a powerful week. I think it will have its challenges there, of course, with the Pluto retrograde, Neptune at the last degree, Moon crossing over Neptune, but then of course culminating into a new moon in Taurus with Venus. That's pretty freaking awesome. There's some awesome gifts that are there, and it's just about being, having that gratitude and seeing that, hey, there's always a way. We have the tools. There's always a way. God will show us a way, and that's really what it comes down to. Things they're probably not perfect. They're not exactly the way that you want, but hey, there's always going to be a way. And you will find people that matter, people that know that you matter, and that's really what it comes down to, right? So, yeah, I mean, ooh, I do have the moon card here. I have the moon card here in reverse. I have that followed by the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, it's like even this card in reverse is not bad. It's just about whether or not you're going to placate to all those around you. It's about learning how to dance in the moment and be on that. Like, I love this card because she's like dancing in the air, and all these other people below her, they just don't know her value. They just don't know their own value and their own worth. They could be partnering it up with her, but they don't know their own value and their own worth. So I think with that moon here in reverse, yeah, things are going to maybe feel a little bit off and stuff, and maybe we're not exactly. This is us focusing on the packaging, right? If you get too caught up on the way that this whole thing is packaged this whole week, the new moon in Taurus, if you're so focused on the packaging of it, you're not going to be able to appreciate the contents of the package, which is the most important thing, not the package itself. That's just the bows and the wrapping or the bag and stuff like that. It's pretty, it's cute, it's nice, but what's important is the actual gift inside of it. I also had the Knight of Cups in reverse. Anytime I see all reverse cards, you can read it both ways. The Knight of Cups is saying to really just go for it. I love this card because I call this like the going after the Holy Grail card. She's hitching the ride on the dolphin too here. So she's like emotionally guided to take action and to move forward and go towards something. And, I love that, honestly, for this week, especially with that moon. It's going to culminate there in Taurus. Now, it's going to conjunct Neptune on the way to it, which is definitely going to be interesting, to say the least, because we haven't seen that since the Civil War. But, this is about, dolphins are very social creatures, you know what I'm saying? Very, very intelligent as well. I think it's about, it's a week about connection. Last week was the week of surrender. This is the week of everything's hitting the final degree. And we realize that we're all in this together. We are all dolphins in a pod. We're all in this together. And the only way that we're going to get through this and survive and make it to the next level, which I believe that we will, is by working together. We can't not work together anymore. That's really what it comes down to. I'm going to draw one more card as far as this goes. But, yeah, I have the Ten of Wands. No one person should be shouldering all this. No one person should be shouldering all this. The fact that all of these were reverse and then this was the only one that was upright, it's like, if you feel like you're having to shoulder the entire world right now and all the burdens and putting everything on you, it's like you're going to lose. You're going to lose the fight, the narrative, whatever. Like this right here, the Ten of Wands, this is like, this gives me so, I'm not gonna lie, this gives me social justice warrior energy right here. Feeling like you have to just, like, this is about, you know, what light can you bring to the table? You know what I'm saying? What can you do? I think it's great to bring light to certain things and to fight for different causes, but I also think it's important to realize that there's some things that we don't have all the information of. We're not there. We can't control it. All we can do is control our reactions and control the things in our own life. So it's like this Ten of Wands. It's like we need to stop feeling like all of the weight is on our shoulder, or putting the weight on somebody else or something, putting it all, like all of our eggs in one basket. Like this is the thing that's going to do it. Okay, this is going to be the thing that's going to make me happy. This is the thing that's going to make me happy, and then putting it all on that. It's like, or this is the thing that's going to bring me the $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Like this, instead of trying to put it all on that, we just have to, I think it's about day to day, you know, being in the moment, living from our hearts and the truth, and those things, those beautiful gifts will show up, you know. But we can't just put all the weight on, if this thing happens, I will be happy. And what happens when that thing does not happen? We get upset. We lose our sight. We lose sight of gratitude and what's really important by putting it all on something or someone. But if that thing doesn't come through, then we get pissed. You're just setting yourself up for failure. I'm not saying to not necessarily have expectations, to just go willy-nilly with everything, but I'm saying that life is a lot more nuanced, and we have to just, that's the other part about this Neptune, that it's going to be hard to explain these energies. A lot of the things are going to be unexplained, you know? So let's get the Answer a Simple Oracle card. I wonder what this is going to say to kind of wrap this up. Change the scenery. That's what we're doing. We're changing the scenery. But here's the thing. The scenery hasn't changed yet. We're changing it. So we're in a transition moment. That's why things feel awkward and weird. And there's a part of us that maybe wants to hold on to the old scenery, but it's time to change to another scene, and it's time to evolve to the next level. And this is a level where we don't need to feel like we have to put everything on one person or a government or whatever is saying that you can fix all of our problems. Or once this thing happens, I'm going to be happy. Once this thing happens, my life will be perfect. Once this thing happens, I'm going to feel valued. Once this thing happens, I'm going to feel accepted. It's about accepting yourself right now. Change the scenery. Change the way that you think about it. Change your beliefs if you need to. And realize that right now, you are enough. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. It's going to be an interesting week. I look forward to meeting with you all again next week for Cosmic Convergence. That's going to start off with that new moon in Taurus, which I think is actually, I think it's awesome that we converge to that moment. And, you know, just take this week day by day. Like I said, there will be some challenges that come up and stuff like that, but just know that you got this, and I believe in you. But anyways, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful week, beloved, and I will see you all on the next Cosmic Convergence. Peace.